Harish Iyer, thank you so much for speaking with the timesofindia.com. Now, there has been such a long fight to get even for courts and society to even acknowledge the decriminalization of same-sex relationships. But the fight is still not over.
I think it's been a long struggle to get, just Section 377 being read down took us many years. And we do know that this could be a long haul as well, getting marriage equality in India. But one is hopeful that we will stand up for the tenets of our constitution, which believes in equality, the ethos of our nation, which believes in plurality, all that we have learned all through our childhood, which is about diversity, unity in diversity. I think today all these values of the constitution has been put to test, because what we have got till now is only the right to have sex without the state peeping into our bedrooms, with Section 377 being read down. We haven't got any rights till now. Now, once marriage equality becomes a reality, it'll segue into various other rights that we would be asking. The right, gay marriage, many people are debating, gay marriage would lead to gay divorce. Gay marriage would lead to gay people or people of different genders and different sexualities adopting children. There is also going to be a lot of conversation about property rights and other things. So we have made the beginning right now, and by fighting for marriage equality. And once we get this, we are not going to be second to anybody when it comes to any other rights.
In fact, I want you to talk a little bit about, when the first time the news came that the center has opposed the legalizing of same-sex marriages. At that time, I remember you saying that, yes, there is a difference between these marriages. But the difference that you talked about was a very poignant one. If you could talk about that.
I think there is a difference between same-sex marriages and straight marriages or heterosexual marriages. The difference is not in the love that these two people have and that they want to solemnize with the holy bond of marriage. Gay marriages are still happening in this country, but the legalization of gay marriage, giving them legal recognition, would mean that they would not have to face prejudice. We all go for our straight weddings, our heterosexual weddings. But if there is a gay wedding, it's still considered to be special. It's still considered something to be hush-hush about. All that we want to do is not to be special, not to be hush-hush about our marriages. We want to be out and proud and out in the open. We want equal rights.
Right. I'm going to read a little bit from what the affidavit has said, and I want you to come in there. Now, the affidavit says the notion of marriage itself necessarily and inevitably presupposes a union between two persons of the opposite sex. This definition is socially, culturally, and legally ingrained into the very idea and concept of marriage and ought not to be disturbed or diluted by judicial interpretation.
I think marriage, in fact, the Special Marriages Act doesn't mention male and female, but irrespective, even if that is the interpretation, we as a nation, we also stand for, we also say that everyone is equal in the eyes of the law. But when you're formulating the laws, you can't be preferential if we are all equal in the eyes of the law. As of now, there is preferential treatment given to heterosexual people. They could get into the bond of marriage, and it's not given to homosexual or transgender people. What this will do, what we are expecting is not a new law. What we are expecting is the interpretation of laws to make this about two people, two men, two women, a man and a woman, a man and a transgender person, a man and an intersex person, two intersex people. It doesn't matter. Also, this view from the state also is very myopic and unscientific, because there aren't When you use words like opposite gender or opposite sexes, there are not just two sexes. There are not just two genders. There are genders more than two. There are sexes more than two. So I think the whole affidavit by the state is by itself unscientific and unresearched.
And when people say that, so what if there is no legal sanction to the marriage? I think what a lot of people still do not understand is what that legality can do in terms of rights. And if you could give us a little, some examples of how this has impacted decision making, whether it's related to medical issues, whether it's related to bank issues, property, how does it impact people? Because it's very easy to say that, yeah, okay, same sex relationships have been acknowledged, so what's the problem now?
I think I think this is not about us having an antakshari and singing Hum Aapke Hain Kaun type of weddings. We are still doing that. Let me assure everyone that we are still having antakshari type weddings in the LGBTQ community. I attended at least 3 last year. Compared to that, I attended 0 heterosexual weddings last year. We had everything in those weddings. We had different ceremonies in the wedding. But there's one thing that was not there in the wedding, no legal sanction, which means that if one of the partners who have gotten married to each other is dying, then the other one will not be able to sign in and say that you can take this person off life support. If there is any crucial decision that needs to be taken regarding the body of the person, it can be done only by a legally wedded spouse or a family member, and LGBTQ relationships don't form under the paradigms of family when it comes to the legal understanding of it as of now. When we are thinking about buying a home together, like if I and my partner and I want to buy a house together, home loan becomes an issue. If we have to decide on various other things for that matter, though insurance companies, banks, they all are opening their minds and hearts. But there are a lot of other issues where I wouldn't be treated. When it comes to inheritance, I wouldn't be treated as an equal. Me and my partner would not be treated as at par with what me and my wife, if there happened to be a woman wife in my life, then it's not going to be treated the same way. So I think this is not about us singing Hum Aapke Hain Kaun and having mehndi in our hands and dancing and having rituals. For that, we don't need a legal sanction. We can still do it. India is a free country. But when it comes to legalization, we will get all these other rights. The rights to adopt. There are so many children languishing in anathalayas, in orphanages across the length and breadth of the country. I even started a change.org petition to ensure that LGBT couples get to adopt children. There's so many other things that are in limbo because LGBTQ people don't have the right to marry legally. Though socially, one could put it out for debate, but legally, it's not even there for debate because I think the Constitution of our country spells it out quite loudly and quite clearly that everyone is free and equal under the eyes of the law.
Another point was where the court and in fact the centre in many ways has said that, well, there should be something that Parliament should perhaps take up. We've had a private members bill come up not once or twice, but with private members bill in general, we have not seen too many private members bills go through. So is there conversation also happening with our legislators to take this forward? Because finally, the court is one option, but the legislature is the other.
I think the reason why if you look at just the history of Section 377, there were 3 attempts made for decriminalization of Section 377, decriminalization of homosexuality or consensual acts between adults in the Parliament. And all 3 times I remember quite clearly, not three, I think two times, Shashi Tharoor made that, he tried introducing a bill. And all the time that he was trying, members of his own party weren't there in full attendance, number one. And it was, if you would just increase the volume a little when you are watching the proceedings in the parliament, you can hear jibes, you can hear people behaving like hooligans, bullying, homophobia quite rampantly being exhibited in the parliament floor. So what we have got today is not because of the government or because we didn't try with the governments. We have got this despite the government, because they kept failing us. They kept failing us in Section 377, and that's precisely what would happen if we took that route. And what we are asking over here is, we are not asking them to formulate new laws. What we are asking them is to interpret the old laws in a way that whether it's the Special Marriages Act or any other act, my petition is on the Special Marriages Act, is to interpret the law in a way so that we could expand it to same-sex couples and to anybody who happens to be an adult.
And if you could talk a little bit more about your petition, particularly since you're saying we're not asking for a new law. We're saying we have laws, just interpret them with a far more open mind.
My petition is about equality, about equity. Time has come now where we should interpret laws in a different way, with a more open mind. Previously, we assumed that genders were just in the binary. Previously, we assumed that sexuality, though if you go long back, there is examples of queerness even in Hindu scriptures. But even if you were not to go that far, and if you are stuck to the colonial mindset, society has evolved. There are genders more than two. There are sexualities more than one. And it's time that we keep with the changing face and the changing pace of society, and we expand the Special Marriages Act to include any two people who are desirous of getting a legal stamp on their relationship, the legal stamp of marriage.
I do want to ask you that a few months ago, there was a statement that came in from RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat talking about how this is today's reality and we have to accept it. But we've seen a sort of U-turn yesterday when Dattatreya Hosabale talked about where with the center's view, and we should stick to that.
So I think parliamentarians have always been pussyfooting on this issue quite often. I mean, and it's been quite rampant where parliamentarians have said something and then they've taken it back. I really welcome what Mr. Mohan Bhagwat had said. Yes, the society is changing and we need to keep pace with the changing phase of society. And in keeping with his views, we should also be accepting unions of all kinds. You can't be saying something and then taking 4 steps backwards after saying that, because it only proves that you're indecisive and you're not standing with people who are different and people who are distinct and people who are queer, who identify as queer when you do that.
All right, Harish, I'm going to wind up here, but I do want to ask you before I go, does it sometimes feel that we're taking 2 steps ahead and maybe 4 back?
I think that, great love is met with great resistance, and this has happened. If there's enough evidence in history and literature where great love is met with great resistance. Yes, the more love comes out of the closet, there is going to be hate coming out of the closet too. People who are homophobes, transphobes, people who are pyar ke dushman are going to come out and they're going to be vociferous and as loud as we are about the love that we share. So things are going to be difficult, things could get tougher, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and the light is not of another train coming from that route. I can assure people that, because I believe in the constitution of our country. I believe in the judiciary of our country. I believe in the constitutional bench, and I believe in the will of of Young India, which stands for people who are different, who stands for people who are queer. I also believe that people from all political parties, BJP, RSS included, there are enough queer people in every political party, and there are enough progressive voices in every political party. What will happen now is there will be a churn within political parties as well, where there will be the young who will not take this nonsense quietly, and they will rise up and they will urge the older generation to stand up and to take notice. And I urge every queer person in every political party, you know who you are, so get up, stand up. This is not the time to hide in your closets. This is the time to come out. Even if you're not out about your sexuality or your gender, at least stand with us when we are making these stands, and speak and appeal to the senior management of your parties to stand up with us so that we can really bring in a revolution.
Harish Iyer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ketki.